According to the NCRP reports, around 70% of women in India are victims to domestic violence, and marital rapes, to be precise, are considered an offence under domestic violence against women and not a sexual offence against women. The World Bank data also declared that more than 100 countries in the world have declared marital rapes an offence, but India belongs to those 36 countries that have not criminalized marital rapes yet. Hello everyone, I'm Antara from Career Launcher, and today we'll be discussing about marital rapes and whether they are offence or not. Now earlier, women were considered properties to their husbands, and having sexual intercourse with them, whether with their consent or without their consent, was all valid. Because women are considered properties, the husbands can never rape their wives. And that is why any offence against a wife by the husband was considered an offence against a property and not a person. Finally, during the 1700s, rape laws came into existence, and slowly and steadily all the countries started criminalizing rape. In India itself, Section 375 of the IPC, or if you talk about BNS, Section 63 of BNS, defines the offence of rape, stating having sexual intercourse with any woman without her consent will be considered rape. But what about rapes being committed against married women by their husbands? Now, both IPC and BNS are silent about marital rapes. If we talk about exception 2 of section 75, it says that sexual intercourse by a man with his wife not being under the age of 15 is not rape. Now, there was a conflict going on that when the age of majority in our country is 18, why exception 2 mentions the age as 15. So, in 2017, in a particular case, Supreme Court changed the age of the wife from 15 to 18 years. But what about women above the age of 18? Can they actually file a case against marital rape? So, there are certain pros and cons of criminalizing marital rapes. If we talk about pros, one of the major reasons why marital rape should be criminalized is that this actually violates our fundamental right to equality, as it discriminates married women with the unmarried women. How is it discriminating married and unmarried women? So, if you look at the rape provision, what does it say? Sexual intercourse with a woman without her consent. But if the same sexual intercourse is done with a woman without her consent but by her husband, there we do not consider it as an offence. Why? Is it not violating the fundamental right to equality of the married women? But there are certain cons as well. One of the biggest cons can be that people consider that when a woman agrees to marry a man, she gives her implied consent to the relationship, to having any kind of relationship with a man, be it physical, be it mental, emotional, anything and everything. Most of the men argue in court stating that as the woman agreed to marry him, she gave her implied consent to form a relationship with him. Secondly, one more con which can be found out is misuse of the laws. Now we know there are a lot of misuse of domestic violence laws as well. Similarly, if marital rapes are criminalized, a lot of fake cases or misuse of the particular provision can be seen. Because the Supreme Court says whatever happens within the vicinity of the bedroom of a couple cannot be a subject of conversation in the court or a subject of argument in the court. Now, let's talk about a few cases. What does the High Court say about marital rapes? What does the Supreme Court say about marital rapes? So, recently the newspaper headlines said that the Chhattisgarh High Court acquits a man who was accused of having unnatural sex with his wife, which led to her death eventually. He was accused of culpable homicide not amounting to murder, section 304 of IPC, having unnatural sex with his wife, section 377 of IPC, and rape of the wife, section 375, for which the Sessions Court convicted him for 10 years. But when the husband appealed to the Chhattisgarh High High Court, the court found out that the death of the wife was not due to the injuries caused by the husband. Also, we do not have any provision that says that husbands can also be held liable for raping their wives. Basically, there is no law that criminalizes marital rapes, and that is why the man was acquitted by the court with 0 charges. Now, there were certain interpretations made by the Justice Verma Committee stating that marital rapes are a serious issue and should be addressed in the court. But there are certain people opposing it, stating that it would lead to increased stress amongst the family members and eventually lead to a lot more fake cases than they are already in the courts. Now, let's see what the Supreme Court of India has to say about marital rapes in the country. The wife filed a case of marital rape against the husband. What was the story? There were different stories that came from different people. Like, the husband said that हम दोनों ने भागकर शादी करी थी और हमें अपने ही परिवार से खतरा था, because of which we asked for police protection. We also got the protection और हम साथ में बहुत खुशी-खुशी रह रहे थे. But one fine day, the wife decides to leave her husband and go back live with their matrimonial family. अब husband ने wife को बहुत बार बुलाने का कोशिश किया. The wife was not returning to him, so he filed a case under Section 9 of Hindu Marriage Act. Section 9 of Hindu Marriage Act जानते हो ना? Restitution of conjugal rights. अपने marital rights को वापस लेने का provision है. Husband ने wife पे Section 9 Hindu Marriage Act का केस किया. अब वाइफ की स्टोरी ये कहती है that हम दोनों ने भाग के शादी नहीं की है, हस्बैंड ने जबरदस्ती मुझसे शादी किया, घर पे मेरे साथ डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस करता है, and not just the husband but the mother-in-law and brother-in-law as well are accused by the wife of domestic violence. Now she had to run away from the husband's place because the husband raped her multiple times. Now she filed a case against the husband in the court for marital rape. What did the court say over here? Now court said that we do understand your situation, but we can't charge him of marital rape because we do not have any provisions for it. Also, we do have proof of police protection given to you. Why would you go and ask for police protection अगर आपको खतरा अपने husband से ही था? आप husband के साथ जाके police protection लेकर के आते हो अपने family के against, and then you say कि मुझे husband से खतरा है. So थोड़ी सी discrepancies आ रही थी wife और husband दोनों के ही contention में, and keeping in mind the fact that we do not have any laws against marital rape, फिलहाल के लिए सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने इस केस में मैरिटल रेप का कोई भी चार्ज नहीं लगाने का फैसला किया है. The decision is still pending. Let's see what happens in the future. For further information, stay tuned.